It was just after 1 a.m. on a quiet Tuesday morning in Cocoa, Florida. The streets were empty. The houses were dark. Most people were asleep. Jodi Cowan was not asleep. She was 50 years old. She was an avid animal lover. She was walking her small dog near her home on Blue Bonnet Drive, doing something she had done countless times before. Something ordinary. Something she believed was safe. She never made it back home. Within minutes, she would be attacked by two pit bulls that had escaped from a neighbor's yard. Her partner of 3 decades would watch helplessly as the dogs assaulted her. He would run to her, finding her severely injured from multiple bite wounds. He would call 911. She would be airlifted to Holmes Regional Medical Center, and 2 hours later she would die from her injuries. The woman who owned those dogs was 29 years old. Her name was Linda Cutler. She lived right there in the same neighborhood. She knew her dogs had been becoming more aggressive. She had been cited by animal services numerous times in the past. She had pleaded guilty to 5 offenses last year involving 2 of her dogs roaming the neighborhood and not being properly vaccinated. She did nothing to prevent them from getting out. The 2 dogs had names, Max and Mako. They were pit bulls. They had escaped from Cutler's yard on Blue Bonnet Drive. They were loose, they were aggressive, and they attacked when they encountered Jodi. Security video captured the moment. The dogs became increasingly agitated as they paced a fence line. Then they launched an attack. Jodi Cowan was walking home when they surged toward her. She was carrying her small dog when they struck. Donnell Smith, her partner of more than 20 years, was inside their property. He returned home around 1 a.m. and noticed that Jodi had gone out with their pet dog. He stepped outside and saw something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He saw the 2 dogs attacking his wife down the road, off into the grass, in front of a truck, where no one could help her. Smith ran to her. He found her severely injured from the attack. When the dogs returned, he fended them off while rendering aid to the woman he had loved for 3 decades. He called 911. Emergency services were summoned. Jodi was airlifted to the hospital, but it was already too late. She died from her injuries 2 hours later. Her partner watched helplessly. Her neighbors heard, while the woman who owned those dogs stayed away. Local residents had raised concerns about the 2 pit bulls prior to the fatal attack. People had seen them before. They had seen them pacing the fence line. They had seen them aggressive. They had seen them loose. And now someone was dead. The Brevard County Sheriff's Office launched an investigation. Detectives traced the attack back to one address, one owner, one woman who had been warned, cited, and given chances before. Linda Cutler was not at her home when deputies came looking for her. She was staying at a beach hotel, a Hilton near the beach in Melbourne. She had taken a minimal action to prevent her dogs from getting out of her yard, even after being cited by animal services numerous times. Deputies arrived at the hotel on Wednesday, May 27th with an arrest warrant. They responded to a disturbance involving Cutler and others. When they moved to take her into custody, something unexpected happened. Cutler feigned having a heart attack. She pretended to collapse. She pretended to be having a medical emergency. Melbourne police called for medical assistance. She was taken to a hospital. She was examined. She was cleared. And then she was booked into jail. Cutler now faces a charge of felony manslaughter, 1 count, for the death of Jodi Cowan. She is being held on a $250 $0 bond. A judge granted her that bond, but then revoked it because of a previous arrest. She had 2 unrelated pending cases involving drug possession and theft allegations. Now she has to stay in jail. She is not allowed to have pets again. And as for her dogs, Max and Mako, Sheriff Wayne Ivey made it clear. They will be euthanized in Brevard County. The family is trying to deal with the aftermath. Donnell Smith lost the woman he loved for more than 20 years, 3 decades, in a matter of minutes. He watched her be attacked. He held her while she waited for help. He called for aid that came too late. Jodi Cowan was 50 years old, an avid animal lover, a woman who cared for dogs, who walked her pet in the quiet hours of the morning, who trusted that her neighborhood was safe. She was wrong. This was not some random act of nature. This was not an unavoidable accident. This was the result of someone who underestimated dangerous dogs, someone who knew her animals were aggressive, someone who had been warned before, someone who did nothing. Linda Cutler knew her dogs were dangerous. She had been cited multiple times. She had pleaded guilty to offenses involving those same dogs roaming free. She acknowledged that her animals had been becoming more aggressive, and she still let them out. Florida has strengthened dangerous dog laws, but laws do not stop attacks. Laws do not bring people back. Laws do not undo the moment when a woman is attacked while her husband watches helplessly. This was the second fatal dog attack in Brevard County in recent memory. The second family to receive the call no one ever wants to hear. The second time neglect and underestimation turned deadly. The shock rippled through Cocoa. Neighbors who had raised concerns before finally saw their warnings proven right. The pit bulls that had been pacing the fence line, the dogs that had been seen roaming, the animals that everyone knew were dangerous, they had killed someone. Jodi Cowan was an animal lover. She loved dogs. She walked her small pet regularly. She trusted the neighborhood. She trusted that the worst would not happen. But the worst had happened. Underestimating aggressive animals is a fatal mistake. Pit bulls are powerful. They are strong. They are capable of inflicting catastrophic damage in seconds. When they attack together, when they coordinate, there is no stopping them without serious intervention. Donnell Smith tried. He fended the dogs off. He rendered aid. He called 911, but the damage was already done. The injuries were too severe. There was no coming back from this. The question that lingers is not whether the dogs were dangerous. They were. The question is not whether Cutler knew. She did. She acknowledged it herself. The question is how someone can be warned so many times, cited so many times, given so many chances, and still do nothing. Still let the dogs out. Still leave them loose. Still gamble with someone else's life. And lose. Linda Cutler faked a heart attack to dodge arrest. She pretended to be sick rather than face the consequences of what she had done. She ended up in jail anyway. But that moment, pretending to collapse while deputies waited, says something about the person who let those dogs roam. She is being held on felony manslaughter. She will face court. She will face judgment. But none of that brings Jodi Cowan back. None of that gives Donnell Smith his partner of 3 decades back. None of that unbreaks a family. The dogs will be euthanized. Max and Mako will be put down. But the damage they caused is permanent. The death is permanent. The grief is permanent. This is what happens when you underestimate dangerous dogs. This is what happens when warning signs are ignored. This is what happens when someone chooses negligence over responsibility. Jodi Cowan was walking her dog on Blue Bonnet Drive. It was just after 1 a.m. It was quiet. It was familiar. It was supposed to be safe. 2 pit bulls escaped from a neighbor's yard. They attacked. They surged toward her. She sustained multiple bite injuries. Her partner watched. He tried to help. He called for aid. She died 2 hours later, and now a family is trying to deal with the aftermath. A husband is trying to live without the woman he loved for 3 decades. A neighborhood is trying to understand how this happened, right there on their street. Linda Cutler thought she could get away with it. She thought she could fake her way out of arrest. She thought the warnings did not apply to her. She was wrong about all of it. The danger in a quiet neighborhood is real. The threat of aggressive dogs is real. The consequences of negligence are real. And Jodi Cowan paid the ultimate price for someone else's negligence. She was 50 years old, an animal lover, a devoted partner, a woman who walked her dog in the early morning hours. Now she is gone, killed in the attack, while her husband watched, while the dog's owner stayed away, while everyone who had warned about those animals proved they were right. The question is not whether this could happen again. It could. The question is not whether dangerous dogs exist. They do. The question is whether anyone will learn, whether anyone will take warning seriously, whether anyone will act before someone else dies. Until then, the memory of Jodi Cowan will remain. The story of a woman who loved animals and was killed by them will remain. And Linda Cutler will remain in jail, facing felony manslaughter for underestimating dangerous dogs.